So it's really interesting. We've had a huge chemical fire down in Texas and another huge chemical fire in China. And the culprits are hydrocyclobenzene, or the benzene products. And we see a lot of unique things happening in the world itself, specifically in relationship to the way that chemical mixers are working right now. My question is, has anybody done any research into the idea that as the Earth's magnetic gravity changes and the polarity of the Earth changes, can that affect the way that chemical components are held together, even as simply as water, making the hydrogen-oxygen bond become more fluid and allowing water to become more fluffy? And so that way the areas that it actually encompasses actually become more so, because the ability for the atomic structure to disassociate itself yet still maintain its ability to stay the same in a compressed spot due to the inability for the reactiveness of the electrons, because the Earth's energy causes the electrons within the chemical sphere of the components to become hyperreactive and thus expand. And could it be that because the Earth is possibly changing its electric matrix on the magnetic grid and the cosmic radiation that comes in, that it's now changing the E of 1? So that way everything that has an electron base is now able to associate itself but be in a larger component mixture, so it's no longer as small. So if, pretend that you have HH and an O, right? Or an HOO, right? Or you have an OOCH3NOOH. Well, if the bond that bonds the O's and the H's and the C's suddenly doesn't need to have this much between it, it can survive with that much, because the Earth's magnetic energy allows for it to maintain its grapple hold between the hydrogen and the carbons and the nitrogens. Then what you'll have here is a random expansion of molecules, and it has a magnetic relationship. So the more that the core of the Earth expands in magnetic hydrodynamics, the more everything else has the ability to expand too, because the core's core holds everything tight, and as it no longer holds everything tight, it changes. And it changes the consistency of molecules and the ability for molecules to strictly hold themselves together and maintain that constant relationship of sharing the transference. And so what would be an anionic reaction could be cationic, and you wouldn't necessarily see things that would be normal because their relationship is so close to the alkalinity that you find them to fluctuate into neutrality. And so between the fluctuations of the acidity levels of things, they expand, and that expansion becomes a compression ratio, which causes systems to overload because it cannot properly correlate. Anyways, I think that is a something to look at. At least somebody's thinking about it, even if it's me.